Hey everyone, welcome to the fifth episode of Bhavika and Laura Stat Show. Today we have a very special guest. Hey Dana, how are you?
Hi, how is everyone? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming over. I would be happy to introduce Dana to my audience. Dana works as the Director of Customer Experience at SlapFive, and she holds a really great amount of experience. And she is going to take us through today customer programs, which is very important as a customer success manager. When you're working in a company, you of course need to service your customers, and how should your programs be like designed in order to help your customers. That's what Dana will be helping us for you, Dana. I have a piece of information, which is we have a couple of rounds for this chat show. This is very it's not a monotonous show wherein of course things would be just a monologue. It would be a dialogue kind of a thing, very chirpy, very innovative. We have some rounds here which would be first of all, we'll give you the space to actually talk about customer programs. After that, there would be a rapid fire round, and of course, we want you to pass with flying colors. And after that, there is a dilemma situation, and following which, there is the question of the day round. So, I hope that's clear, right?
Sounds great. I'm ready for it.
Awesome, awesome. So let's start with the first round, wherein we would love to know your thoughts on developing customer programs. What should one keep into consideration? How should you go about it as a CSR?
So that's great question. And one thing kind of to remember is I always thought when I got into the process of customer success, customer enablement, customer programs, that if you build it, they will come. And that's not the case. Just because you have a customer program doesn't mean customers are going to come to it or that they'll be engaged with it. So that's kind of the number one advice and the number one thing to remember. Just because you have it doesn't mean that they'll come, but making sure that kind of taking it, especially if it's a new initiative, it's something new or maybe something that failed in the past that you need to rebrand and do again. Take inventory of what's already there at your organization. If there already is some training material or there's some webinars that kind of provide some customer insights that could be put together for an introduction from like a customer voice aspect of the customer program. Take inventory in-house and then talk to your customers, see what they're looking for. Survey them, poll them, talk to them on the phone, ask what they'd like to get out of a customer program, most importantly, and that will set you up for success for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Glad to know that. And also, Dana, just to add on to it, is there any specific template that one should use for building those customer programs, like in documentation I'm talking about? How should you be approaching your customers through emails, or could be just a dialogue or on voice? That's fine.
Not any real specific. I mean, once you've figured out, and I kind of lay out a three-phased approach of
Okay.
starting with talking internally with the internal folks in leadership and making sure they're supportive of the customer program.
Right.
Then talking with customers on what they'd be looking and be interested to do, a pool of customers that maybe have already engaged with you.
Right.
And then from there, building that structure of, okay, here's what we're thinking. Here's the idea of this customer program. Mine's actually called the SlapFive Rock Stars. So I send that out and allow them to choose what activities they'd be interested in doing and build it from there. So email or a PowerPoint.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Thanks for answering that. Yeah.
Can you maybe tell a little bit more about the program that you have?
Yes, yeah. So I just alluded a little bit to it there, the SlapFive Rock Stars. So that's our program that I've created that I invite all my customers to when they become customers. So it's an added value of being a customer of SlapFive. And what it is a program that is powered by customer voice. So I'm asking customers to speak on webinars. I'm asking them to speak at events. Also be a reference for any future prospects that we may have. And then in addition, there's peer networking. We have a Slack channel that they can connect with fellow customer marketers. That's who my customers are, customer marketers. And it also, I track what customers are engaged and what they're doing. So I'm seeing what customers are joining webinars, who's volunteering to speak on one of a more intimate peer-to-peer networking, who's joining product review sessions, and I'm scoring them on the back end. They're not seeing their score, but they're scored on the back end for those engagement levels. And I do it about every quarter. I'm not super consistent on it, but I do have a Rockstar Award where they'll get a trophy. They're spotlighted, their customer story we share on social and share with our other peers through an email and through Slack. So that's another aspect that looking to build better upon. Started out slow, but now the program has pretty much doubled in size. So I need to be a little more consistent on the Rockstar Award part of it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so Dana, we move on to the second round, which is called the rapid fire round. Over to you, Lotte, for the first question.
Okay, so yeah, the first question was actually which customers do you invite to the program? You already mentioned that you invite all your customers in the beginning. Why do you do that?
Well, I'm at a space where we're not that large. I mean, we're still a startup mode, so I have the capacity to be able to invite them all. I do coach my customers who are building customer programs to work with sales or customer success to define who's invited. Maybe it's a certain size or they're using a certain product type. So it's not always invite all. I think it depends on the size of your organization and how many customers that you have that makes sense for. But starting out, it doesn't hurt to invite everyone and then reevaluate it.
Okay, great. The second question then, what is the best incentive to motivate customers to join the program?
Yes, I love this question. So this comes up a lot, and this is probably the biggest challenge with customer programs is the incentive and motivate. And it honestly always comes down to that peer-to-peer networking and letting the customers be able to network with like-minded individuals. Their success is their peers' success, and they're not in the same industry. They're not competing for the same customer base by any means. So always peer-to-peer networking, allowing the customers to elevate their brand and increase within their career. They can show it to their leadership. They're able to share what they've done in a customer program, if they've spoken on a webinar, or they've done a customer interview. It just helps with their own internal business reviews that they're doing with their bosses.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the third question is, how do you keep them motivated? Like that's very important because they might join the program, but after that they're not so like interested or continuing. So how should one make them motivated?
Yes, another great question. I'm in the midst of this right now of making sure that my customers are motivated. So I recently sent out a survey just asking what value they're getting out of the program, how it's helping them in their role, what it's missing from the program, what have they joined, what type of large activities. We've had we've had a virtual conference, we've had a user group, so things like that, just making sure that we should continue those. And it was all relatively good feedback. Some of the stuff I need to improve on is just making more EMA friendly time zone events. I'm in the East Coast and we have a lot of West Coast customers. So fluctuating that, doing some more morning time events and getting things in person, which when we can, we will. So it was overall good feedback and stuff that I can improve on. So yeah, the motivation piece, I was at a pivotal point of making sure that they're motivated, and it's just asking, what else do you need? What else do you want?
Right. So constantly actually being in touch is very important there. That yes, we need to understand that what do they want more or where are we lacking. So that's a great point, Anna. Yes, yes. Moving on with the last question for rapid fire round. We've talked about, of course, different categories, but how do you decide the number of categories? For example, if you have fewer customers, I can imagine you will have fewer categories. Is that right?
Yeah, so categories meaning like the customer engagement, what activities that they're willing to do, or I also call them their acts of advocacy.
Right.
I personally track literally everything because I don't use a CRM, being at a small startup. So I'm tracking, they completed their onboarding, they did their workshop with me, we socialized the product internally. So I'm tracking those activities in addition to program engagement, from spoke at a webinar, joined a product feedback, shared their voice in an interview, etc. So we have kind of our core that I always recommend for my customers to do when they're building a customer program of provide a reference, speak on an interview, do a customer video, provide product feedback. Those are the main core ones. And then the other ones are just added value and dependent upon the product.
Got it. Got it. Awesome point. Awesome point, Dana. So with this, Dana, you have, of course, passed with flying colors. Congratulations on passing the rapid fire round. Moving forward with the next round, which is called the dilemma situation, we'll be asking you a situation which, like, of course, wherein a CSM gets into a dilemma, how he or she should actually solve such situations. Over to you, Lotte.
Yes, so creating the program and keeping the customers engaged, it takes, of course, a lot of time. And how do you keep all that work combined with all the tasks you already have as a CSM? Because you also mentioned that you have to do all the tracking and everything yourself because you don't have a CRM. And you already mentioned that you don't always have the time to finish the scoring every quarter. So how do you keep everything combined?
Yeah, I mean, it's juggling definitely a lot of hats, a lot of plates, that's for sure. And what makes it really great of having the customer program and also being my customer's customer success manager is I'm able to, even if I do weekly check-ins, but even if a weekly check-in is missed for whatever reason the customer can't make it, there's usually some other touch point from the Rockstar program that I'm still reaching out to them, or they're reaching back out to me, or they're joining a webinar. So I still can see them on a distance just to make sure that they're still okay. So nothing ever really goes dark with customers, especially if they're engaged with me from a CSM perspective, getting onboarded, trained, started, or if they're really engaged in the Rockstar program. Some are both, but some are one or the other. So it's a good balance that I still have a pulse on the customer. I've always built new programs, new processes, built sales regions, built standard operating procedures, built trainings. So it's just what I'm comfortable with and what I know. And it's having a little bit of sales mentality too, because I can continue to sell myself to my customers, not to purchase my product, but sell to work with me, partner with me, engage with me, and then sell myself internally to my leadership team to continue to support the programs and support me from resource perspective that way too.
Understood. Okay. Got it. Got it. And of course, the question of the day, Dana. What do you do to announce the program? What kind of promotion do you use, and how long do you start before actually promoting, or maybe afterwards? So how do you promote this program with your customers?
So the promotion I did, and also what I coach my customers to do too, I end up writing a blog post, announcing it within social media channels, and just making kind of internally a big hurrah about it to the leadership team so they all know it's live. Getting each one of the leadership team to give a quick hello, give a quick welcome, audio or video response, and sharing that out with the launch of the customers of here, this is the SlapFive Rockstars, welcome, join, and meet the SlapFive team is another aspect, using that customer voice, us providing our own voice to our customers. And usually, I mean, the promotion and the planning, that begins at the beginning of planning your customer program and that three-phased approach. So it's always there, and you're always announcing it as new customers come on board also. So yeah, there's one big announcement, but you're continuing to announce it when you have new customers come. So making sure that that's part of the onboarding email cadence. And I have sales talk about it too So they know upfront a great value add of coming on board with us is you could be part of this program.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
Awesome.
How did you?
Yeah.
Sorry. How did you motivate the sales team to also get involved in the customer program?
So I'm fortunate to have a very customer-led organization, leadership and organization. So we selling a product that goes to customer marketers. I'm very lucky and in a unique situation where they're launching their own customer program. So being a part of one that they can learn from, just we had to do it. That's why my role was created. That's why I came on board, because we needed to be able to have our own customer program if we're coaching our customers to have one. In a previous role, the sales reps never had anything like this to share with customers. In my previous role, it was more of a customer training program. It was called Smart Bear Academy, and there was nothing like that prior to me coming on board. So it was something really great that customers didn't have to come back to sales engineers for training. We created a place for them to go live to webinars and then in a virtual LMS platform. So when it's something new, yes, selling myself to the salespeople to trust me, let your customers come and do this. And once one or two salespeople see the value, it spreads like wildfire.
That's nice. Very nice. Okay, so of course, we had a wonderful, wonderful show with you, Dana, today, and thank you so much for coming over. We loved your insights around customer programs, and yes, thank you so much for accepting the invite.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun. It was great talking with you both.
Thank you.